What's up, everybody? This is Bryson Fowler, Boss Talks on the Rooftop, and we are live. Happy Women's History Month. Big shout out to the women that are in the cigar industry. I have a treat for you this week, starting out with I got a lot of feedback over here. Hold on, guys. There we go, and we're back. What's up, everybody? We're back. Always something going on with the live. On my pre-recordings, you never see the bloopers. But anyway, I have the great honor of introducing and bringing on one of the major players in the game. His name is David Blanco of Blanco Cigars. What's going on, brother?
What's up, my friend? It's a pleasure to be with you, and happy Women's History Month in cigar business.
Women's History Month. Yeah, man.
Wow.
So this series is like this next round of series for the episodes. We're gonna be having women of the cigar industry, right? Because they're really doing major things in the cigar industry and coming up in this traditionally predominantly male space, right?
They are the largest growing demographic in our industry, specifically, believe it or not, African American females.
Exactly, which is kind of funny and great to see, because you're seeing a lot of people spearhead. And what the problem for me is, like, not to like over romanticize the imagery, right? But like I always tell people, like, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a woman puff on a cigar. Like that's my bag. Like that's like, oh, okay. What is she smoking? Let me try that. That looks good. So
the reality is, however, for anybody that's truly in the business, not only from the retailer or consumer perspective, but from the manufacturing side, which is the side that I come from, my family's history, is that women have always been a part of this industry. As a matter of fact, they're the predominant force behind the cigar manufacturing.
Right.
I would say 80% or more of our cigar rollers, selectors, they do leaf selection, preparation, pre-industry phase. They're female.
Right.
They're women.
Right.
Most people don't realize that. If you ever come on one of our tours to one of our factories, or go to any factory tour, you'll predominantly find that most of the rollers, leaf sorters, selection, leaf preparation, they're women.
Right.
We use the
and
men.
That's what I noticed. Like when the one factory I had the honor of actually taking a tour of was JC Newman, and I saw nothing but women hand rolling and rolling cigars. So I was like, oh,
attention to detail. The women seem they're more tactilely proficient, and their aptitude for attention to detail. This is a generalization, but it's found that women have an aptitude to that than men do.
Right.
Of course, we got the stronger backs, generally speaking. So you'll find a lot of the men in the fields and in the farming aspect of it. And when it comes to the factory aspect of it, you'll find more female employees. So that's the reality is we walk up and down the factory rolling tables, supervisors, they're all women. They're all women. So it's nothing that's been foreign to us, but from a perspective of a consumer, it's been more dominated by male smokers. It's been a male space, almost like a fraternity, but the reality is that nowadays, even that side, the consumer side, and I'm happy to see it. I was just mentioning to you before we came out, and I was in Atlanta. There's a lot of female-owned shops. And I'll go into some cigar lounges, and they'll be 50% female.
Right.
Which, who doesn't want to see that? Right? So.
Right.
Yeah.
Put me in that line. We're going there. We're going there. So, around here in Dallas, you've been here where you saw on two sides of the spectrum, like there was two female owned cigar lounges in the southern sector of Dallas. So it's like I see that on a natural occurrence. So for me, it's great to see.
And by the way, two completely different identity type of shops.
Right.
So today we have different types of cigar establishments. We've got cigar shops, we've got cigar bars, and we've got cigar clubs. So you have to really want to figure out what your identity is going to be when you're establishing your retail location. But those two in particular, I see one more as a cigar club and one more as a cigar lounge. Am I wrong?
Right. And it's one of those things, like there's a place and space for you no matter which one you're gonna go to, right?
Yeah.
It all depends on what kind of environment you want or you're looking for. Let's see if we I think we lost our live on the
We did?
On the Instagram. It like cut out on us. Oh well, we'll get it back up here in a second. But for you said something about your cigar tours to Nicaragua. How often you hosting those?
Well, we generally do them in the January, February timeframe, but we're open to doing them any time of year. If you have 10 or 11 people that want to go, we'll set up a week, Tuesday through Saturday, and we all go down together, and we'll take you through a tour of Nicaragua. It's a cigar experience. It's more than a tour, because it started about when I did it. I've been doing this tour or experience for 20 plus years. And when it started, it was more all about the cigars, the factory, the farm, cigar, education. And then everybody went home. And I did that for a number of years. Everybody enjoyed it, but I started getting bored.
Right.
And I saw it as, if I wanted to take a vacation, would I want to go to this thing? And after so many times of doing it, I said, I got to freshen this thing up, and I got to make it different than what everybody else is doing on a cigar tour. Because, everybody else started doing them. First of all, everybody else's tour is like 3 days. And that's because most of these tours are a commercial for their brand. That's it.
Right.
They take you to the farms, they take you to the factories, and that'll take 2.5 days. And between travel on both sides of it, see you later. You saw nothing of the country you went to, except it's going by in a window as you were traveling there in a bus or a truck or a van or whatever it was. And I said to myself, why would I want to go to a third world country or any country that I've never visited before and not see any of that country except for the farm and the factory, and then back to the hotel or the compound, which is what most everybody does.
Right.
So what I designed is a tour or an experience very similar to, and I hope people out there understand who I'm talking about when I say this, similar to an Anthony Bourdain show. Does anybody know who Anthony Bourdain is? I hope you do. Anthony Bourdain had a show called No Reservations. He was a chef. Unfortunately, it said he committed suicide. There's some debate about whether or not that's actually how he died, but unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Whatever happened. He was an international chef, and he had this show, and he would travel to certain countries around the world, and he would introduce you to their cuisine. That's how he started. But as his show evolved, it evolved into, I'm going to show you and talk to you about the cuisine because I'm a chef, but let me tell you why this cuisine evolved into this fashion in this way. And it had to do with the history of the country. And then there was a civil war, or this type of war, or that kind of war. There's political upheaval. And so you ended up learning about the culture and how this country is morphed into what it is today. And then he started talking about the language and how the language and cultures from this country interacted with this country, because back then it was this country, and then they changed the borders of the country, so there's involvement from this culture and then mixed into that culture. And so he would talk to you about the culture, the language, then the music and how the music evolved into, and all this was centered around the food, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? That's a very interesting show. So I ended up not learning just about the food when I watched his shows. I
Right.
learned about the entire area that he was in and the culture that he was in. And I learned about the food, the culture, some cool things about the history of the country, the demographics, and the historical issues with wars and stuff like that. So it became very interesting to me. I said, now that's a tour. He gave you a tour on a show that we could do with cigars. So what I want to do is I want to give you a tour and experience of Nicaragua, cigar centric, of course, but I want to teach you about the culture of the country, which means we want to go sightseeing. We're going to see places and do things, and then we're going to go to the local restaurants and bars and casinos to interact with the culture, to immerse you in the culture.
Right.
Not show you a farm, show you a factory, and say, thanks for coming, buy my cigars. That's
right.
not what this is. It's not an advertisement about Blanco Cigar Company. I will give you Blanco cigars there. You will learn all about Blanco cigars when you're there. But also while you're there, you're going to learn about the Nicaraguan people, the culture, the language, the food, the music, and see the sights and what that country has to offer. And
so we're going to do a full immersion with you.
4 nights as a result. There's no way I could do that in 3 days. So we do an all-inclusive experience, 5 days, 4 nights. It does cost a little bit, but it's if you did it on your own, it'd be double or triple the price. I think we are up to $1,750 for 5 days, 4 nights. Includes hotels. You stay at 4 different hotels: Managua, Granada, Esteli, and Las Panitas, which is the Gulf or the Pacific coast, which we stay on the beach. So there's 4 different places we stay, all transportation, all meals, beverage with meals, 20 cigars, a custom-made shirt, excursions. It's all included, everything. So you don't have to bring money for anything except if you want maybe for drinking, if you want to go to the casino or you want to buy souvenirs. That's the only thing you're going to need cash for. And of course, it doesn't include the flight because we have people that come all over from everywhere. Excuse me with my cough still. But you're looking at probably $2,000, maybe a little bit more, all in on this tour for 5 days, 4 nights. And it is a bucket list tour because nobody else in the industry does a tour like me.
Right.
So the factories and farms, we do all that. We go to the family's farms, Plasencia, because we didn't even get into the cigars yet.
No, not yet.
I'm a master blender in residency at the Plasencia factory where I make all of my cigars. I make 7 different brands that I own. Now, I do make cigars for other people, and I do things for other companies, but the brands that I manufacture and own are all made at the Plasencia factory because they're family. That's where I've chosen to stay for the past now 26, 27 years. Oh, my God.
Wow.
I've been in the business since 1998, so it's 28 years. I had my own factory once upon a time in the beginning, and my uncle ran that one, and I was a partner, and my father were partners. My uncle got sick, and as a result of Agent Orange in Vietnam, and he's just recently passed, actually. So he had MS for the past 25 years or something like that. Wow. So we closed that factory early on, and we moved everything to the Plasencia factory because of his illness. So that's where I got my. I met my mentor, and I learned how to really get into the tobacco, and that's where I learned how to become a blender. And this guy was a true master. His name was Oviedo Dominguez. I always like to say his name because most people have no idea who he was or is. He's no longer with us, but I got him for a good 11 years before he passed. But very famous guy in this industry. He was the guy behind the blend for the Monte Cristo No. 2 and the Monte Cristo No. 4 from Cuba. Wow. Yeah, he was the rolling union president before the revolution, and he ran the H. Upman factory with regard to quality control, head blender, and head roller there. So I was very lucky to have him as a mentor.
Yes. Man, that's powerful.
So that's it with the cigar tour. If you want to find out more, go to blancocigars.com and check out Factory Tour page, and you'll see all of our itinerary and kind of the places we go and things we do.
And see where all you go. I think that's why I like talking to you. I can zoom in and zone in on you because you have such a wealth of of legacy and knowledge base, right? Um, like whenever, because
Been doing it for a minute, man.
But before I met your dad. So,
oh yeah,
and
that's right. I should probably mention that my family's been in this industry. I am the 5th generation in the business. My father is retired now, but he still hangs around and comes to trade shows when I ask him to meet, see people, old friends and stuff he hasn't seen for a while. But he retired back in 2018. He was the last one born in Cuba, and this industry and our family legacy would have been lost with him, his generation, had I not decided to reestablish it and continue to grow it and keep in the business myself. I just couldn't let the family's legacy die after 4 generations. It started in 1886. I couldn't be the one responsible to let it go by the wayside. There's no way I could do that.
Right.
So,
but I mean, you've done so much over. It seems like a short period of time, but it's like you've been in this for so long, right? Like you served in the military, and then you went off and did your own thing, and then you came back and revitalized Blanco Cigars to what it is today.
It's a true story.
What is that? What is the rooftop moment for you in Blanco Cigars when you revitalized your legacy, your family's legacy?
Well, let me start off by saying I hope that the rooftop moment, I haven't experienced it yet. Let's hope that's the case. That's to say the best is yet to come.
I love that.
However, to this point, I guess the rooftop moment for me, wow, there's so many in so many years. There's been I've been doing this for so long, but I guess I could say one of them would be when the Blanco 9 that you're about to smoke and review in Cigar Aficionado tied the Cuban Cohiba.
Oh wow!
In the review.
Wow,
that was a seminal moment for us because those 2 cigars next to each other with the same number next to them, but the price was like ridiculous because the Cuban was so much more expensive than ours. I think at that time you could buy 3 Blanco 9s for the price of the 1 Cohiba.
Right.
But we have the same rating. And people are like, who is this Blanco 9 thing? What is this? And that put us on the map, and we started selling a lot of cigars.
Yeah.
That was a rooftop moment. Another one would be probably when I was in Europe and I was selling cigars. We sell cigars all over the world now. I was in Europe, particularly in Holland, and we were selling to the oldest cigar shop in Europe. It's called Hyaenius in Amsterdam. And that was a shop that the house blend was handmade without molds by Evelio, my mentor.
Wow.
And I was now selling Blanco cigars to that shop. When I mentioned to that shop that he was my mentor, they treated me suddenly like royalty.
Yeah.
And they sold my cigars. And that was another seminal moment. It was like, I have arrived, of some kind of arrival type of thing.
Right.
That was huge. I think another seminal moment is like an ongoing one. When people come to me and ask me to make cigars for them, as I mentioned to you, I make cigars for other companies.
Right.
When they come to me and explain and express how much they enjoy my product and that they would like me, they trust me to make their product with their name on it. That means a lot. That means a lot that relationship, they want to expand and form that relationship with me personally because they trust my cigar making ability, my business ability, which lends to my credibility, my character, my integrity.
Right.
And without those 3 things, none of this matters.
Right.
You'd sell 1 million cigars, 2 million cigars, 3 million cigars, 10 million cigars.
Mm.
If I don't have any integrity, your word is what you have, man, in life.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people in this business that are lacking profusely in that. After 28 years in this business, you have your admirers and you have your detractors.
Right.
Because you form relationships, and then sometimes they go bad, sometimes they go well, they go one way or another. But there'll be guys that'll tell you, yeah, Dave Blanco's a great guy, and Dave Blanco's not such a great guy. But the one thing they'll never be able to say about me is that I've cheated them, I've stolen from them, I lied to them, I was anything other than honest. They may have not liked the honesty. I might have been too honest with them, but you can never say that I was anything other than that. So integrity and honesty and, those type of things, they matter in this business. So when people recognize me by asking to do business with me because of those characteristics, that means I'm living up to what my father would want me to live up to, my family's legacy. So
that's powerful.
Those are all rooftop moments.
Yeah, that's very
But
powerful.
I hope there's a lot more to come.
A lot more, especially because you're doing it the right way. And then when you said you're a little too honest, it's not that you're too honest. They're just not prepared for your truth. So
or the truth in general,
Yeah, the truth in general
and happens.
Yeah, a lot of times that's usually what I've come to experience is you just wasn't ready for the truth. Like you want honesty, but you weren't prepared to get it all. Like, here you go. That's now what do you do with it?
When people ask me my opinion about something, I'm generally going to give it to them because you asked. And if you didn't want the opinion, then I'm sorry. If that came off in a way that you weren't prepared for it. But it generally happens when, again, people come and ask me to make cigars for them. They're very excited and they're very gung-ho and they're excited to talk about the project. And I got to settle them down a little bit because what that generally means when they're new in this business is they don't really know the business. They think it's a get rich quick scheme, or they romanticize this business to something it's not because they read a lot of magazines and movies or something. I don't know. But this is a business like any other. You have to balance your books and inventory and pay your taxes and licenses and payroll. And this is a business like anything.
Yeah.
And most people just want to romanticize about the cigars.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that's what the product is, and we all love that product. It's like being in the wine business. If you don't like the wine, then why are you in the business? Or beer, scotch, name it. But to get into this business and actually have a brand with a name on it, and then to market that brand, you have to understand marketing, advertising, business 101 and how to run a business, all of these things. It's not just the product.
Right.
So when people come to me to make a product, they kind of get a free consultant. I consult I don't charge them for that.
Right.
But I provide them that insight because what I don't want is for them to fail. Because if I'm building a relationship in a business aspect with you, your success is our success. Right. So if I see you going into battle without your armor and understanding what the battle actually is and how to fight the battle, I'd want to give you a forewarning of what you're stepping into. So I try to advise them that here are the pitfalls and the potholes and the problematic areas and the issues you might run into, and this is going to happen. And that's why, because I've experienced them. Mm-hmm. And then I have to have a heart-to-heart with them about the objective, right? What is the goal of you starting this brand? And once I discuss with them that, I mention the fact that whatever that goal is, whether it's this or this or this or this, it's got a price tag associated with that.
Right.
Do you know what that price tag is? In most cases, they have no idea.
No clue.
So how do you expect to reach the goal if you don't understand A, how to get there,
Mm-hmm.
and B, what it's going to cost to get there.
Right.
So I'm very honest with these guys when they start this endeavor, because the last thing I want them to do is just burn money,
Right.
because they have no concept or idea of what they're getting involved in. So I try to open their eyes to the reality of the situation and the business. And if they still want to move forward at that time, at least their eyes are open. They understand financially what the cost is going to be, and B, how to have a plan on how to get there step by step, because I'm going to help them get there with the plan.
Right.
And those are key issues. So, but some people aren't ready for that. They rather live in the fantasy of what they thought it was going to be, you know?
Yeah. I mean, because at that time, we're talking about like I'm turning my hobby into something that I really want to do, and it's like, okay, well, once we start itemizing the mundane, because the process is the process, and no one wants to fall in love with the process, and it's supposed to be a hobby or it's supposed to be your leisure. They're like, you mean to tell me I got to build a system for this? Yeah,
it's a business. Like anything else. You sell widgets, you sell cigars, you sell wine, you sell cheese. They still have commonalities of business.
Right. So because you started out, doing your own thing, why cigars? I always ask that. Why cigars? I know it's your family legacy, but for you, why cigars?
Well, that was it. It was because of my family legacy. Like I said, I had done other things. I joined the military out of high school. I used my GI Bill. I wanted to be the police. I became a deputy sheriff in Cook County in Chicago. I left the sheriff's department. The Chicago police and the Chicago fire department called me, and I went to the fire department. I chose the fire department because I had already done the law enforcement thing. There you go. Light it up. And there you go. You're going to like that one, baby.
Man.
How's the draw? Good?
It's steady.
Okay, good.
I always make fun of people that do cold draws. I'm going to be honest.
Well, first of all, I got to tell if it's going to be a tight or not, but you never know.
You cold draw nerd. Cold draw. I'm like, all right. Like, the biggest thing that I get from a cold draw is like how is it going to pull after I light it?
Like, yeah, that's what I was asking, how the draw was.
Pull, cool. But like when I get the flavors, not necessarily.
I got you. That's why. So then I left and I went to the Chicago Fire Department instead of the police. And so I've done. At that point, I had 3 careers. And it was on the fire department that I started doing the research and getting involved in bringing back the family's legacy, because that's when Cigar Aficionado started in the early 90s. And that's when everybody started getting into smoking cigars, and cigar lounges became a thing. And I saw an opportunity to revive the family legacy that was going to be dead had I not done anything about it. So that's why I did it. The family had a legacy there. I was informed about it when I was a young guy growing up, and it was always that lost family legacy back in Cuba. And I had a chance to do something about it so it wouldn't go by the wayside and die with my father's generation. And that's why cigars. Thank God it was cigars. Had they been in anything else, if I was French and they had a wine business, I'd probably be selling you wine.
Right.
But it was cigars. So
if they would have been whiskey makers and you were selling whiskey,
I'd be in Kentucky right now selling you whiskey.
Yeah, hey, we would still be locked in step because I'm a whiskey bourbon guy.
Got to mute my phone. I got a million people calling me right now. So what do you think so far? Right off the bat, what are you getting? Usually, by the way, I'd be smoking with you, but because of my cold, can't do it right now, guys.
I'm a razz you about it later.
I'm still taking expectorant and crap so I can cough this crap up.
Yeah, exactly. So, hell, because you got enough pepper on this thing to clear up your sinuses. So go ahead.
A little bit.
But it's not an overbearing pepper. It's a nice subtle grab, and then the cocoa it starts light. It's not a very strong cocoa hen. I feel like it's going to get there gradually. So
Mhm.
first pull, that's where we're at.
Good deal. By the way, the Blanco 9 was our highest rated cigar in 2018. It got number one rated cigar of the year as voted by consumers on iRobusto.com. It also got a 95 by CA, a 93 by Smoke Magazine, a 90 by Cigar Snob, and Best Buy by Cigar Journal, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the years, those are, and I'm sure we've had other reviews that I'm not familiar with, but those are the ones that I can remember at least. By the way, it's a dark Corojo wrapper. It has 3 different Ligeros in the filler, but they're early priming Ligeros. So this is early priming Ligero from 3 different regions in Nicaragua, Condega, Jalapa, and Esteli. And
Definitely
then you
taste
have
the
a Jalapa
jalapa on
binder. And then you got a Jalapa binder on it. So it's all Nicaraguan, all Plasencia tobacco on that cigar. Definitely one of my favorites. And if you're a Lancero guy, I definitely recommend it, Lancero. That's my jam.
I saw the Lancero, but I'm like, I want a Toro, and I want to.
No, I get you. I get you.
I've had this for about a month now. So
Hard to hold off. My hat's off to you for not smoking it for a month.
Man, I was like, yo, I really want to smoke this because Bob over here at Tobacco Cabana, he was like, yeah, man. He was like, yeah, man.
Tell him I said hello over there.
I got you. I give him a shout.
Oh, and her. Tell her I said hello because she's, it's women's month. You froze.
On the Instagram, we'll see.
Oh, we're back. We froze there for a second. I missed everything
you
said. I was mentioning say hello to her for me as well since she has the shop.
Will do. I'll say what's up to Rhonda. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, it's a female owner. There you go. Those are one of the female owners I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And you got Roz, of course, down there.
Mm-hmm. Down at the Smoking Jacket. Yeah.
That's right. Not too far from Tobacco Cabana.
Not too far from like this.
Yeah, well, the third one, we all know who that is. Kunoma. It's our buddy.
Yeah. Our brother Tommy Black.
That's right, Mr. Black.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I saw Black about a few days ago. A few days ago, probably. I picked up.
He came down on our tour to Nicaragua, by the way.
He came down on the tour?
Yes, he did.
Nice.
He had a great time. You should ask him about it. He had a real good time. I got some blackmail photos on him, but I can't show them to you. He had a good time.
I'm pretty sure he's leaning. So is 9 the one that you're the most proudest of? But before I ask that, what nutty note am I tasting? Because it's not peanuts. It's something else.
It's up to you, bro. I'm not going to tell you. What are you getting?
That's fair. I'll figure it out. But is the number 9?
Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's a little different with their palate. But you said pepper and cocoa, you were spot on. That's what everybody gets for sure. But all the other nuances, it's fine tuning, man. Everybody's palate's a little different. But to answer your question about the cigar I'm most proud of, that's a difficult one.
It might be floral.
To it. It's definitely my highest rated cigar. So for that, I'm most proud of it for that. Okay. And for a long time, that was the coup de grace that I would, Blanco 9's our number 1 rated cigar of the year.
Right.
But then I got a number 2 rated cigar of the year. And then I got a best value cigar of the year. And then I had another one that was a number 1 boutique cigar of the year. And so you start, over the years, you start adding these accolades up.
Right.
It's still my best seller, the Blanco 9. But I make cigars for different reasons. Cigars for me tell a story. and I made a cigar called Prince Hall cigars. That has a lot of meaning for me. For those of you that don't know, I'm a Mason and a Shriner. For those of you that don't know the story of Prince Hall, he's the founding father of African-American Masonry in the United States. So there's a lot of meaning behind that for me as a Mason. By the way, I'm a 5th-generation Mason. My family were Masons in Cuba. So
really,
for me, it's a lot of heritage again. So
that part I didn't know about. I didn't know your legacy as far as masonry. I know me and you were brothers, but I didn't know so on and before you. That's amazing.
So for me, making the Prince Hall cigar was to be able to tell that man's story and to educate people about who Prince Hall was. And he was a great man. I consider him one of the founding fathers of our country that nobody knows about. And so it gives me the opportunity to tell his story. So I'm proud of that. I make another cigar called Above and Beyond. It's about fallen heroes. It's a heroes line. Fire, EMS, law enforcement, and military. I made that cigar because I've known guys in all of those uniforms, as well as my father, who also wore all those hats, and my uncle. We all know people who have lost their lives in service to our country, whether it's in war as a police officer or as a firefighter or a paramedic. And so for us, it was personal to make that cigar and to be able to keep their memory alive and honor their sacrifice. And we donate a portion of the proceeds to different organizations that help the fallen or the widows and orphans of those people. So I'm proud of that. I made a cigar this past year in October. It came out in October. And I don't even know if you know about this one.
Try me.
I was in Nicaragua at the factory when Charlie Kirk was shot.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm from Chicago. I consider myself a Christian. And I met Charlie Kirk at a Turning Point USA event. I also consider, not to get too much in the political aspect of things, but I consider myself a conservative, not necessarily a Republican. I'm a conservative fiscally, and I think socially, I'm more of a libertarian. You know, do what you want, man. It's a free country. It's the United States. That's what we're founded on, right?
Right.
But socially, that's where I lean, and then fiscally, I lean on a conservative side. So I had a lot in common with Charlie. We grew up in the same area. We root for the same teams. He was a lot younger than I was. And politically, we fell in the same type of circles. And when I was at the factory and I heard he was shot and I saw the video, and I had just been with him.
It's horrific.
What's that?
It was a horrific video. It's
horrific.
It was unbelievable. Action.
You know? Unbelievable. I was just at the Turning Point thing, I think in July. And this was beginning of September. So it was like 6-8 weeks after I was with him. It hit me hard and, emotional about it. I've seen a lot of death in my life as a paramedic with the Chicago Fire Department and being in the Army and being in war. I've seen a lot of death. But I truly, I thought that Charlie was somebody that was special, and I think he could have done a lot more things in this planet. But it's God's plan.
Right.
So I accepted that, and but I wanted to honor what he had accomplished and the man and the mission that he was on from a religious perspective. And his motto was God, family, country. Right? Which is a very common theme in our country for those that are either patriots or religious.
Right.
So I made We Are All Charlie cigar. And I don't even know if you knew about that.
I didn't.
Yep. I made a cigar in honor of Charlie Kirk. I made it in Connecticut, and I made it in Habano in 5-packs in Toro size. And we're donating a portion of the proceeds to Turning Point USA.
Wow.
So to answer that, I'm proud of that. So if you notice the theme It's about service. It's about giving back to the community and working with community, whether it's the Masonic and African American community, whether it's our veteran or first responder community, or whether it's our Christian brothers community. Right. So for all of those things, I'm proud of all those cigars. And those aren't even my highest rated cigars.
Right.
But they're cigars that I'm proud of nonetheless, because they tell a story and they tell about a little bit about who we are as the Blanco family and who I am as a person. So for me, it's a little bit deeper than just the product. It has a meaning behind it for us. And we utilize that platform and try to donate part of the proceeds to certain organizations for that.
Well, see, and that's why I asked, right? Because I knew you were going to be, you're a very thoughtful person when it comes to just you in general, from me knowing you. And I know from the product that you put out, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. We've talked before now, and like you're a different kind of chef, same ingredients, but you bake a cake a different kind of way than a Placencia will bake a cake, right? Or a Davidoff, or if you will. So I always like to ask, like, what was the thought process? And I like how you shed the light into why you name each product that you have out there the way you did. So why Nicaragua? Besides, like, if we didn't have the connection with the family in Placencia, right? Why are you rooted in Nicaragua? Is that your palate? What does that look like for you?
Fate, quite frankly, because when I opened up our first factory, it was my father, my uncle, and myself, and we opened it up in Ybor City in Tampa, because that's where my uncle had retired. This was before he was sick. My grandparents had retired here to Tampa. I was still in Chicago with my father, and we were both on the fire department at the time. As I mentioned, we were both working in Chicago. And my uncle was able to run the factory here in Tampa and buy material from Placencia and others. And we were able to go ahead and run the factory from there. It wasn't until my uncle got ill with MS. He was unable to operate the factory on a day-to-day basis. And so we had to close the factory. And so we had to come up with, what do we do now? And since our family were Placencia, we called them and said, hey, could we move our production to your facility? Now, at that time, they had facilities both in Nicaragua and Honduras, and they still do. And I actually flew to Nicaragua, and then I met them in Honduras. And we had lunch, and then we had dinner. And it was kind of a reunion, the family getting back together, because we didn't grow up together. Our family was blown apart because of the Cuban Revolution. My immediate family came to the States, but their immediate family went to Nicaragua. Then there was a revolution and a civil war in Nicaragua, and then they fled to Honduras. And then they came back to Nicaragua. So, I mean, this is a common story of most Cuban families. The families were blown up and just separated. And it's a common theme with Eastern Bloc countries with the Soviet Union. When that all happened, and the wall went up in Germany and East Germany and West Germany, you know, the Eastern Bloc states, and then families got separated.
Right.
It's unfortunately a common theme with communism.
Right.
And so that's what our family suffered. We got blown up. Some people didn't leave Cuba. Some came to the United States. Some went to Nicaragua. So, I mean, we're all over the place.
Right.
But cigars brought us back together. Tobacco brought us back together. So when we closed our factory, we were like, well, why don't we call the Placencias? They have factories. Let's see if we can move our production and operation to their facility. And they said, absolutely. Nestor Sr. said, come on down. And that was 2000, in 2000. And so I've been at that facility in Esteli ever since. So that's why Nicaragua, you know?
Right.
And that was, by the way, when Nicaragua was not the Nicaragua of today.
Right.
It was the Wild West. The production level of cigars there was just, relatively speaking, to the Dominican Republic or Cuba, not even on close to the scale. Now Esteli is the center of the universe for premium cigars.
Right.
There are more cigars made in Esteli, Nicaragua than Havana.
And see, I've wondered that aspect of it, because, like, I'm looking at, okay, why is everyone so honed in on Nicaraguan tobacco? Like, why are they honed in on, the factories of Nicaragua? And like, there's Dominican Republic that's been in the game for however long. Like, both sides of the families they're all Cuban, right? You guys
That's
are
right.
all Cuban. And it's like, okay.
There's difference. The difference is the soil. Cuba is known for tremendous soil. And when you have a cigar from Cuba, there's a very specific taste. And that's as a result of the elements in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes for, I'll give you, since there aren't a lot of people that smoke cigars all the time, a good analogy that I commonly use is wine. Mm-hmm. Grapes from different regions have different characteristics based on the soil that those vines grow in. So if you go to California, Napa or Sonoma, mm-hmm. they did a lot of soil sampling first before they transplanted the cuttings from the different vineyards from Europe there. Mm-hmm. What they were looking for is to see what that soil in California closely mimicked. What regions? Was it the regions in Germany? Was it the regions in Italy? Was it the regions in Spain? France? Well, what they found is that the soil was very closely mimicking with elements and nutrients to French regions, right. Which is why most of the wine that you find in Sonoma and in Napa originate those cuttings from France, not Germany, not Italy, not Spain, or anywhere else. So when you talk about the soil in tobacco, it's the same thing. Mm. The soil in Nicaragua is on steroids. It's miracle grow, natural miracle grow. And you say, well, why is that? There's 18 volcanoes in Nicaragua, 18 of which are still active. 8 of the 18. 8. It's on the rim, and the Pacific, right. And the rim of fire, they call it. It goes all the way to Asia, and it comes all the way back to. So we have a ton of volcanic soil there, very rich in nutrients. That's why all of the vegetables that grow in those countries and the coffee, huge coffee export there. And that's why, because it's very nutrient rich. They have great vegetables, great fruit produce, and it's an agrarian culture and tobacco and in coffee. Those are the major exports from those countries. And it's all because of the nutrients in the soil. So because Nicaragua is a large country, they have a large topography of different regions. There are some low-lying areas, low elevation, mm-hmm. and some high elevation. There's some by the coast, by the salt water, and there's some inland. So these different areas will have different regions of soil or terroir that have different elements in them. Mm-hmm. So as a result, you can grow that same plant in these different areas of the country and get a completely different rendering of product. It'll taste different and it'll smell different when it burns. Same seed. Right. All because of the natural properties in the soil. So as a result, we have a lot of variation that we can get with one type of plant in that country. And then, of course, we have multiple different types of plants. So we can exponentially get multiple types of tobacco tastes and flavors. That you can't do in certain areas, like the Dominican Republic. It's this big. Right. It's not even a whole island. It's half an island.
Right.
The other half is Haiti.
It's shared.
So, I mean, you can drive from one side of the country to the other in a couple hours.
Right.
Not a couple, a few more than a couple, but
I mean, it's like going from Dallas to Houston,
Yeah, it's not that big a country. So the variation in soil and altitude and elevation and humidity, and there's some, but not a lot. And it's you can only have that small amount of variation. So that's part of the problem with variety. Now, if you notice, there are a lot of Dominican cigars that'll have Nicaraguan tobacco in it now, or Honduran tobacco, or Ecuadorian tobacco, or Peruvian tobacco, or Indonesian tobacco. You see, the best cigars that we can make now are those that we can blend tobaccos from around the world, because around the world we have different elements in all the soil. So there's so many different characteristics that we can now bring together that previously we couldn't, to make new products that are exciting and that have never been tried before. So I think we're in the golden age of cigar making, because we have more tobacco fields growing in different regions around the world than we ever had in the past. And that's one of the things that it's incredible. It really is incredible. So that's why Nicaragua, for us personally, but that's also why Nicaragua is become one of the great producers of tobacco in the world right now, is because it took us time to perfect that growing, right? Because before the 1960s, there were very few tobacco growers there. It was all being done in Cuba. The one thing that you can say that the Cuban Revolution forced, it forced the diversification of the premium cigar industry to find other places in the world to go grow tobacco. But like anything else, you have to perfect the growing in those countries. It's not like you could take all of your experience from Cuba and go do it anywhere else. It only worked for Cuba because of all the elements I just mentioned: elevation, rainfall, weather, climate, humidity levels, pestilence that changes depending on where you go. Right. So now it's starting from scratch. So you apply all those techniques you learned in Cuba, in Nicaragua, or in Honduras. They didn't work.
Right.
Because everything was different. And it took decades of process and experimentation and learning over and over and over, and data collecting, until you could perfect what you were able to do in Cuba. That's how Cuba got there. Cuba didn't do it overnight. It was over decades of doing this, and they became the best at it for their area. Well, they then had to do that in Nicaragua, and they had to do it in the Dominican, and they had to do it in Honduras, and they had to do it in every place that grew tobacco. It took about a good 40 years. But the Cubans in Nicaragua perfected it there too. And that's why Nicaragua is on the top of the heap right now.
Right. That's deep.
It is. It's a lot more scientific than people realize, with the soil sampling and the nutrients, and it gets scientific.
So I like to kind of get into that space where we can nerd out and see where we're going. Give me a second.
Had this been an actual emergency, ladies and gentlemen, you would have been notified by the National Broadcasting Agency. But this was just a test.
Well, alarm system. So I like to nerd out, like in the nuances of like, okay, from the growth process, like fermentation. What is with the difference of the fermentation? How you go from the seco, the viso, the Ligero. Like, what?
How much time you got?
I got a lot. How much time do you got?
Wow, man. I'm going to have to give you the condensed Cliff Note version for this one.
Please.
So there's four major links in the chain, if you will, of a premium handmade cigar. The first one is farming. Okay, that's the growing aspect that we're talking about. In that aspect, you also have the curing barns, where the drying, or the curing barns where you lose the chlorophyll and green turns to brown. The next aspect of that one, the next link in the chain, is fermentation process. The fermentation process is where you break down biologically and chemically the leaf from starches to sugars. This is where we leach out the ammonia to get to the root flavors and aromas of the. Oh, that's a nice burn right there, baby. Razor sharp, stacking dimes.
Yeah, man.
So that's the fermentation process, where you start getting rid of the ammonia to get to the root flavors and aromas of the tobacco. Then there's the blending of the cigar. This is where the chef comes in and starts picking his materials to bring together something. Could be from 5 different countries from around the world to fit a certain aspect that a cigar smoker is looking for. And then the last link of the chain is the roller. That is an art form of itself. Well, it's all hand done. It takes years and years and years to become a master roller. And not everybody becomes a master roller. So all 4 of the links in that chain have to operate in harmony. With any one of them being broken, it renders a horrible product. You first have to start with great tobacco.
Right.
If you don't have great tobacco, the others are going to fail. You're using inferior material. You can have great tobacco and have an improper fermenting process. If you don't ferment it properly, you ruin the material and the rest of the links are done. You can have great material and a great fermenting process and a horrible blender. And you can make a horrible cigar.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the roller does. The blender screwed it up. You could have a great tobacco product to begin with, cigar or material, a great fermentation process, a hell of a blender, and you give it to the roller, and it could screw it all up. It won't burn right. It canoes. It runs. So that'll screw it up, right? So any flaw in that link, or those links in that chain, can screw it up. But if you have all 4, you got a golden product. You mentioned specifically fermentation. Fermentation, all of these, by the way, are their own expertise, all 4 of those links.
Right.
So a guy who's a farmer doesn't know anything about necessarily rolling a cigar or blending a cigar. What he knows about is rendering good material, growing a healthy plant. The guy who knows about fermentation has to understand about the plant growing and maybe a little bit about the blending. The guy who's the blender, that's my expertise. I have to know about the fermentation process because I can affect things in the tobacco and how I ferment it and change it. And I have to understand rolling because I have to understand about placement and where tobaccos are going to go and how things are going to burn. So I need to understand on both sides of my expertise a little bit about both. But generally speaking, you asked specifically about fermentation. That is its own animal. In a nutshell, the purpose and what fermentation is, it's like basically those of you that maybe do some farming yourself, or you have a little gardening. You ever have a compost pile?
Yes.
That's what fermentation is.
Okay.
What we do is take stacks of tobacco and layer them up in these big round bales, humongous. We call them pilones. 2,000 pounds, just tobacco leaf on tobacco leaf on tobacco leaf. And that pressure creates heat, like a compost pile. And as the compost pile continues to ferment or degrade, right? It's a biological chemical decomposition. Well, the reason we're doing that is because we're trying to eliminate or eradicate the ammonia. We want to leach out the ammonia because the ammonia covers up the taste and the aroma. If you ever notice a cigarette, when you smoke a cigarette or you're by somebody that smokes a cigarette, it smells very acrid. That's because that tobacco has not been fermented. It burns and you smell a lot of ammonia, even as a secondhand smoker. And you ever smoke in their clothes and their hand, it's very pungent. It's because you're burning raw leaf that has not been fermented. That's why nobody cares what a cigarette tastes like. Because nobody's smoking a cigarette for the taste.
Right.
They're smoking a cigarette because it is a what? A nicotine delivery system. That's it.
That's it.
So they're inhaling it, absorbing the nicotine, and blowing it out. It doesn't matter that it tastes this way or that way, or got menthol on it or whatever. It doesn't. It's irrelevant. For cigar smokers, the entire experience is about taste and aroma. That's it. We could care less if there was nicotine.
Right.
And by the way, During the fermentation process, it also breaks down a certain percentage of the nicotine molecules and they change into a salt. And as a result, we don't absorb them. So we are, by nature, natural decomposition of the leaf. Number one, we're not inhaling it. So we're not absorbing through our alveoli the amount of residual nicotine that is left in the plant.
Right.
We don't induce or create more nicotine, higher levels of nicotine in the plant in cigar tobacco because we don't care about it. Cigarettes are genetically induced to have more nicotine because that's the whole point of smoking them.
Correct.
And then during this process, we break down the residual nicotine into salt by just process of getting rid of the ammonia. Nicotine, by the way, has no flavor. So we don't care about it.
Right.
If all the nicotine leached out of the tobacco, which it doesn't, but if it did, we'd be happy with that too, because it doesn't affect the flavor or the aroma. But there is still some nicotine, residual nicotine left, but it is much less than anybody in the industry will ever admit when it comes to big tobacco. They say, well, one cigar is the same as the... No, it's not. They're lying to you. Right. Absolutely false. The amount of residual nicotine in a cigar is so minor, it's absurd. There are some cigars that have more nicotine than others because it's based on where the tobacco leaf is placed on the plant. And that's where you start getting into what you mentioned earlier. Seco, viso, ligero, right? The higher the leaf is on the plant, the more nicotine it has. And the reason that is because when we pick the leaves, we pick them in pairs from the bottom. So 3 days will go by, we'll pick those. 3 to 5 days, we pick those. 5 days, 7 days, we pick those. So the plant keeps sending material through the leaf to the stem, but there's no leaves. So where does it keep sending it to? To the top. The leaves that are the most mature on the plant and are on the plant the longest are from the top. And those are called ligero. They're also the thickest leaves as a result of more nutrition and more value. And the plant naturally shunts more material up there because it also protects the plant from the sun.
Right.
So it makes them thicker. So as a result, it takes longer to ferment ligero, so it will burn. That's why we talk about burn ratios. Ligero burns very slowly. Why? Because it's the thickest material. It also takes the longest to ferment, to leach out the ammonia, because it's the thickest material. That's the precedence of ligero. That's why it has more flavor, because it has more material. So now if you understand that, it makes sense. Oh, ligero is from the top. It has more flavor. So somebody goes, man, it's got a lot of ligero. Of course it's going to be a stronger cigar. Right. Of course it's going to have a little more nicotine. Right? Right. So now it starts making sense. These words start making sense to you because you have to understand the positioning on the plant, the process of the fermentation, the material and the thickness of the leaf, and what they bring to the cigar. It's a lot to learn.
A lot.
And there's a lot more to learn, but I'm just giving you the Bridge Cliff Note version.
What's funny is that's the short version.
It is. Oh, that's the short version. That's about as short as I can cut it.
That's the short version.
Come on my tour, you'll learn a lot more.
I can only imagine. And I asked about the fermentation because I wanted to start there and then go into your blending, right? The blending
has to do with what you're trying to come up with. You know, people have asked me, and I've done interviews and podcasts. They go, "So how do you make a cigar?" I go, "Depends on what I'm trying to make." What am I trying? Do I have a?
I was going to go into more so like for your particular palate. What are you blending?
I don't blend in my particular palate.
Really?
It defaults to my palate. But when I'm blending, I blend for a certain aspect of the smoking market. So here's cigar smokers. There's a pendulum like this, right? Over here, you got the mild. Over here, you got the full. And over here in this bell curve, you got the medium body smokers, right? That's how it goes. So I have to have something for everybody. So I blend for the mild smoker. I blend for the medium body smoker. I blend for the full body smoker. But people have different categories of cigar smoking, right? It's the rule of threes. and this is how I generally talk to people about building a cigar brand or anything else. There are 3 categories of 3 cigars. First, we talk about size.
Mm-hmm.
People buy cigars like they buy a cup of coffee. Small, medium, and large. Right? 3 most popular sizes are Robusto, Toro, and 6x60. Some people call it a Gordo. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are your 3 most popular sizes. The next category is by color, visual color. They have a light wrapper, a medium color wrapper, and a dark wrapper.
Yeah.
Usually that's Connecticut, Habano, Sumatra, whatever you want to call it, and then Maduro. Right. So there's your second rule of 3. Then the third is by taste. Mm-hmm. So we have sight, we have vision, and then we have taste. The taste is by what? Mild, medium, and full body. Mm-hmm. Again, 3. So 3 categories, and each have 3. Size, shade color, visual wrapper, and flavor profile. So that means 9 SKUs, 9 different blends, and you pretty much will cover the gamut for everybody. Right? Some way, somehow. So there's 9 different blends. Mm-hmm. Then you go from there. Then you got the guys that like the weird shapes. Then you guys that like the refined palette wrappers, Cameroon or something like that. And so you got all these.
I'm one of those guys.
My point is, you got all these odds and ends, right?
Yeah.
So once you start building the skeletal structure of a brand, you got all the major identified smokers covered. You got something for them. Then you got to fill in all the holes where you're missing.
Right.
None of that has to do with my palate, right? None of it.
True.
It has to do with the smoking population and making sure you have something for everybody to smoke, because you don't want to leave something uncovered because you're missing that segment of society, of the cigar smokers.
So do you have a particular palate for yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Everybody's got their own palate, but that's not how I blend.
Right.
Now, when I say it defaults to my palate, what I mean by that is at the end of the day, if I don't like it or I don't see the value in it for what somebody that likes that type of cigar will get out of it, then I don't make it. So I guess it kind of defaults to my palate at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I'm open enough to say, I wouldn't necessarily smoke that cigar, but I could see this type of cigar smoker enjoying it for this reason. But if I can't say that, then I don't make it. So blenders are kind of like artists, the painters, the masters, right? The painters. So you think of a painter, right? You think of the greats, whether it's, pick one, the guy who did the Sistine Chapel or Van Gogh or whoever, pick a guy. Who's your favorite? When you look at any of these guys' art, Dali even, Dali is another. You can say, that's a Dali. That's a Van Gogh. Right? You can look at these artists and, this is their style, and this is this. He always did it this way. When I blend cigars, I never want anybody to put me in a category that, that's a Blanco. It tastes like a Blanco. And I can do that with other blenders, by the way. Right. Not that that's a bad thing. Yeah. But it's just, I don't want to be pigeonholed into a certain type of cigar manufacturer. For example, Pepin Garcia, master at what he does. People love his cigars, but I can always tell a Pepin Garcia cigar. It's got that pepper, leather, and long finish. That's my characteristics that I can definitely tell a Pepin Garcia cigar. I just use him as an example.
Right.
For me, I purposely didn't want somebody to pick up any one of my cigars and say, that's a Blanco, because he has that same thing through the whole thread, and that's his thing. Like a Padron. You pick up a Padron, you can tell a Padron's a Padron. I don't care which.
There's a signature. Yeah.
There's a signature to it. And that's not a bad thing. It's just I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to be able to make cigars that were so diverse that people could smoke them left, right, center field. They're completely different cigars. They all came from me, but they didn't have to know they came from me. I just wanted to be able to be that diverse of a blender, not to be, we can only make this style of cigar.
Right.
Well, after a long career so far, I looked back and I said, did I accomplish that? I looked back at my body at work and I said, did I really accomplish that? I got to see. So I started analyzing like I analyzed everybody else's stuff. Did I fall into any of the same traps and do the same thing? I said, no, I didn't do that. And I didn't do that. And I didn't do that. Well, there's one thing I finally came up with that I did. I guess that's my fingerprint. And I figured out what it was. None of my cigars, or all of my cigars, I should say, have a clean finish. All of them. I don't have that long in the back of the throat, acrid. I don't use tobacco because I personally don't like that. And even like I said, if I could find a reason that I could say this person will like that type of thing and if it had that scratch the back of my tongue and throat long, I would change that out. And that is the one fingerprint that I put on all of my cigars. It's not that I had a similarity in blending, except for the similarity of clean finish. All my cigars will have a clean finish. And that's a telltale sign of a Blanco, I guess, if you can call it that.
And that's usually what everybody associates Cuban for, is like a clean finish.
Okay.
And so
there are Cubans that I like, and there are Cubans I don't like.
Yeah.
But like I said, predominantly speaking, yeah. You're not going to find really harsh, heavy, full body Cuban cigars. I have a few cigars that I consider full body, full flavor, but I don't go overboard. Kind of like with food, putting your hot sauce on it. I don't go overboard with the hot sauce. I know some people that's all they want. Burn, just burn it.
Yeah.
I don't. There are guys like want cigars like that. The most full body, blow me up, turn me green. I can't do that. That's not enjoyable. I actually had a guy smoking one of my JT Limitados. It's a Blanco 9, limited edition 9. It's all Lajero. 6 different Lajeros. And I saw him starting to sweat and turn green. Now, everybody's different, right? It doesn't make me do that. It's definitely a fuller body cigar, but it doesn't turn me green. But I know some guys, it's a little bit heavier nicotine level cigar because it's all Lajero.
Right.
And I want the full flavor. I said, try that one. So he's smoking it, and I could see him starting to sweat. And I'm like, dude, just put the cigar down. It's too much for you. You know, if it's too much, I literally said to him, I said, hey, man, are you enjoying your cigar? And I see the bead of sweat coming down his face. And he goes, I love it, man. It's like that guy that's eating the hot chips or the wings or whatever. Yeah. And it's so hot. And he said, and it's like, hey, man, I love it. I can't get enough of it. Some people like to hurt themselves.
You're just a freak that like pain. Okay, got
it. Some people just like to hurt themselves. I don't get it. I don't ever try to make a cigar that hurts anybody, but I mean, clearly this one was a little much for this guy, but he loved it. That's what he loved. That's when I realized, well, there's people out there that'll smoke anything. You know, it doesn't matter. So there's only one definition of a bad cigar. You know what that is?
One you don't enjoy.
The one that doesn't sell.
That's the business side of you talking.
If it doesn't sell, it's a bad
cigar. That's
the
business side of you talking right there. I love that.
But that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned because I have seen and smoked so many cigars personally. Talked about my own palate, right? That I would smoke and I go, are you kidding me? And they're selling. So I guess somebody enjoyed them. So the conclusion that I came up with is that the only bad one, because it's got to be beyond my palate because everybody's different. The only way you can really tell is if it ain't selling, then I guess that was a bad cigar because nobody liked it at that point.
Yeah. No one enjoyed it, I guess. I thought it was
good. That's right. If it's not selling, that means nobody enjoyed it. And that's a bad cigar.
Yeah, definitely. So for your next round, right? Because I know you're working on something now.
Oh yeah.
I know. I just know it. I think I saw you at PCA. I know you're going to be at PCA.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Saw the map or whatever. Can I get some time in at PCA because we're going to run it again?
Sure, man. Of course.
Appreciate you. And are you releasing something at PCA, or are you just really just going to show face and retouch and revamp your accounts?
Well, I'm gonna have Charlie Kirk cigars there, so that's a release for PCA. Although I released it early in the year, so for PCA, I guess that's a new cigar. Although we released it in October, so we will have Charlie Kirk cigars there. We are all Charlie cigars. But other than that, no, I'm not releasing anything new because I'm working with so many other brands, and I'm releasing new stuff for them.
Right.
So I think I have 4 different projects with other companies that I'm working with right now. That's taking up my time, and I already have the new Charlie cigar, so I guess that was our new thing for this year. So I thought that was good enough. But between Charlie and these 4 new projects for these other companies, I got my hands full.
Yeah.
Absolutely full.
Man.
That's enough, bro. That is, trust me when I tell you, I'm up to here.
We're going to throw some more on you. We're going to add a little bit more to you. But with you being able to like not really have a like they would say in poker, a tail, right? You don't necessarily, you have a signature, but it's not necessarily a signature if you can't really point it out because you're looking forward within the taste of the cigar versus what you're not putting in the cigar. Do you feel like that's what's making you so valuable to being a master blender to other blends that seek you out?
I think it's the diversity. I think it's that I can use so much variety of material. By the way, the only reason I have the variety of material accessibility to me is Plasencia. That's what opened my eyes to all this material out there. I mean, it's so vast. And now I've found other places that I can get different material and things of that nature, but they're the ones that really opened my eyes to it. But I think that's it. I think it's the diversity of what I can bring to the table. I've made cigars for so many different companies out there that I don't necessarily make for them anymore because they've either moved on or grown or scaled to where they go to a bigger company and they think they can get the same product, but they can't.
Right.
At a bigger company for less. It never works out right for them, but they think they can. It's those guys that I taught them a little bit, and now they think they can go run away and do other things on their own. It's like, it doesn't work like that, guys. But sometimes they got to learn for themselves.
Right.
But I think it's literally the variety of what I can do, the versatility as a blender that I can bring a cigar for anybody's palate. And working with clients, I think that was one of the major issues is that I know other people that have gone to other factories and said, I've tried to make a cigar with this guy or tried to make a cigar with that guy, and I just didn't get anything I liked. And I've come here with you and I've gotten so many different things that I didn't get from them. Well, I told him, I said, like I said, a blender, everybody's different.
Right.
But again, it goes back to that whole fingerprint thing, right? It goes out to that style of blending. I try not to have a style of blending rather than a process. The process is the important thing.
Right.
But if you keep yourself in these confined spaces of how you want to blend, you're limiting yourself. So I guess what I try to do is let myself out of that box and allow the client's input to influence where I go. Because ultimately, that's the purpose, to give the client the product that they're looking for. And when they're happy with it, then I'm happy. Now, of course, when we get to that end product and they say, man, this is great, I am going to be honest with them from a commercial standpoint.
Right.
And sometimes they take that better than others sometimes because they think they've got the shit, you know?
Yeah.
You know, listen, that's a good cigar for this segment of the smoking population, which apparently you, as the customer, are a part of.
Right.
But from a commercial standpoint, you're not going to sell a lot of those cigars. I agree with you. It's a good cigar, but it's for this amount of people in the cigar industry.
Right.
So that's when I have to bring them back to the reality of what is the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish? Is this a niche cigar that you're trying to make? Then we've accomplished that mission. Is this supposed to be a for the masses cigar in a keystone of your brand? Then this probably isn't it. And here's why. And so I give them an explanation. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I will give people what they want, but at the same time, I'll also explain it to them from a business aspect of what this will do for you versus what it can't do for you.
Right.
In the cigar smoking culture. And that's what we've become as a culture. Excuse me.
Okay. So for you, it sounds like I'm putting you in a bubble because like in my mind, like I've seen your sales presentation. I've watched you go at it. Like from PCA, and I've sat down and watched when I like the first PCA 2024 for me, right? This is where I met your dad. And we were just hanging out and talking. I was listening to your dad, and then I was listening to you sell, and I was like, okay. He got a little wiggle to him. It's nice. It's nice sales. But like there's so much deeper understanding than a salesperson here. And that's what I naturally gravitated to, because like I was like, man, he understands a process way different than him just selling a cigar.
Unfortunately, however, I also have to sell the cigar to stay in business.
Right.
So
right.
I have to sell cigars. Now, if you ask me what my favorite part of this entire business was, at the last thing I would choose is sales. The last thing. Because you know how they say he's a born salesman? I don't think there's any such thing. You got to learn. And some people may come at it a little bit more naturally than others.
Right.
I don't believe I was one of those guys to be a natural salesman. But I have learned to become one, because the reality is what I did learn was this. I don't sell cigars anymore. I sell me.
Right.
I talk about the product the way I'm talking to you about the product, about the process, about the different varieties and things. And then I offer you cigars to smoke, and then it's up to you and your palate to try them and see if you enjoy them, or in this case, since we're talking about retailers, if they can sell them to their customers. But at the end of the day, they're buying me. They're buying me if I stand behind my product. They're buying me if I believe in my product. They're buying me if my product is what I say it is. So it goes back to those things in the beginning of this conversation that I talked to you about. My integrity, right? Of doing what I say, selling a product of a caliber that I say it is at a price that's fair and that I stand behind it. And if I say I'm going to do an event, I do the event. If I say I'm going to give you a deal, I do the deal. If I say I'm going to give you the swag with this deal or that deal, I give you that. It's about being a man of your word.
Right.
So at the end of the day, they're buying me. I'm selling me more than I am the product. Right. I'm the face of the product at the end of the day. So I've learned that it's more about relationship than it is about the product. And my father told me years ago, he goes, Dave, you could have the best cigar in the world, as if that exists, right? You could have the best cigar in the world. If you're a jackass, nobody's going to buy it from you.
Not at all.
However, if you have a mediocre cigar and they love you, you got a shot.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah, give you a shot all day.
He was right.
We do business and we buy from the people that we necessarily like.
That's it.
You know?
I got, like I said, I have smoked cigars out there, and I go, how would anybody smoke this? And I've learned I don't say that anymore, because what I usually end up doing, if I say that out loud, I offend somebody, because that person's got a relationship with the one that sold it to them.
Right.
And that's why they bought it.
Right. And you
I
know,
learned.
cigars is a relational thing. Like we connect on this, and that bred this relationship, right?
Yep.
And so if you were to tell me, hey, you need to try this, I'm taking it at full value because it's you.
It's that credibility issue.
It's the credibility of it. Like I'm like, yeah,
Another guy tells you that. What are you going to tell him? He says you should try it. You go, yeah, whatever. Right?
right,
It's about
right,
credibility, man.
sure. And then, guys, for those of you just tuning in, this is Dave Blanco of Blanco Cigars. We're doing a review of the Blanco 9 here in my hand. It's a damn good smoke, highly rated smoke. You want to get your hands on this. I picked it up locally, so you should be able to pick it up locally at one of your lounges.
However, if you can't pick it up locally, we do have an MSRP store at blancocigars.com, and you can pick it up directly from us if you don't have a shop near you that carries them. Sell them in 5-packs and boxes.
Big Country Cigar said, how's the weather in Florida right now?
I'm sorry, who said that?
Big Country, AJ.
Oh,
AJ.
The weather's beautiful. He's a good man. I haven't talked to him in a minute, man. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man. AJ, he asking how you doing, brother. So he's checking back in with you. AJ's a good dude. He's a good friend of mine. He's also a cigar nerd. He's a perfectionist with his craft, and I thoroughly love talking to that man.
The funny thing about being a perfectionist in this business is my life revolves around an unattainable goal of perfection. Because when you deal with handmade agricultural products, the variables never end.
Yeah.
Not two cigars in the planet are ever exactly the same. How can they be? They're rolled by hand, and each leaf is a different organic product.
Right.
Our job is to try to minimize the variation so that you don't notice any change. And that goes from year to year and crop to crop. So that's the key. The key is making sure that the change that occurs inevitably is something that you don't notice.
Right.
And for those of us that are good at it, you never do. But I'm sure there are brands out there that you can say, man, I smoked that 5 years ago and now I smoke it today. It's not even the same cigar.
True. There's some cigars, like even in my little short span of really understanding what I'm smoking, I'm like, I didn't get this kind of experience the first time I smoked it, but now
you can't always put that on the cigar, though. Yeah, but you can't always put that. You got to understand that your palate also changes the longer you smoke.
Right.
So, but with regard to, from my perspective, of manufacturing a product, the reason that people like a particular product is generally because it's consistent. It's the same product every time they pick it up. People know what to expect when they pick up that cigar because they've experienced already. If they pick up this cigar and every time they pick it up, it's a different experience, you're not going to get the customer base returning to that.
Right.
Because it's a crapshoot.
Right.
Right? If they like that cigar the last time, they want that experience again. If you don't give it to them again, they're going to try something else.
Very, very true.
So
very true.
Yeah, consistency is a big deal. That's all. I mean, think about it in wine. They have vintage years, and this year was better than that year. You think we don't have that with tobacco? Of course we do. But it's our job to adjust the blend to make sure that we minimize that variation from year to year.
So next set of questions. It's like a 3-parter, right? Time capsule. 30 years. What are you putting in your humidor time capsule for 30 years? Second question, what are you going to smoke in this present day? Third question, what would you gift? What cigar would you gift to someone?
In 30 years or now?
Now.
Okay, so in 30 years, if I was going to put something in a time capsule, Probably the Blanco 9 in Lancero.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's my favorite cigar right now. And it has been for a long, long time. It's hard for me to not love that cigar.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see what it is in 30 years. What am I going to smoke today? Well, since I already told you the Blanco 9 Lancero is my favorite, I won't pick that twice. I'd 30-year that one. Right now I'm smoking I'm digging the Charlie Kirk cigars. I make them in Habano and Connecticut. The Habano I like a lot. So that one I would smoke right now. And if I was to gift somebody a cigar, it would depend on what the meaning of the gift was. Because as I told you, a lot of my cigars have different meanings to me and what I would impart to them. So if these guys were law enforcement, military, I'd give them above and beyond. If they were a Mason, I'd probably give them a Prince Hall. If they were, religious, conservative, right, I'd probably give them a Charlie Kirk. It really depends. That was a good question because it would depend on that person. I personalize my cigars for a reason. So to just say if I was going to gift somebody something, now you're a Mason, right?
I am.
I'd give you a Prince Hall. I'd say you want Rosado or Maduro. You got two choices. But you see, that's why it'd be hard for me to. So if the gift was for you,
I've spoken both, and I've enjoyed them both. So
there you go. So if the gift is for you, you know what I'd give you.
So what would you give your dad?
Well, one of those cigars was his personal cigar. The Liga Exclusiva in Connecticut shade was a blend that I made for my father. It was his personal blend. And when we decided to bring a Connecticut to market, I also said, well, we can't just bring a Connecticut. We have to do a Maduro with it. I was smoking a Pennsylvania broadleaf Maduro at the time. And that's where the Blanco Liga Exclusiva de Familia cigar comes from. The Liga Exclusiva comes in a Connecticut shade and a Pennsylvania broadleaf. Liga Exclusiva de Familia simply means in English, exclusive blend of the family. Why? Because I was doing the Pennsylvania broadleaf and my dad was doing the Connecticut. So I did make a cigar for him, and that would be the one that I would give him because that was his blend.
Man, that's powerful.
Like I said, I personalize my cigars, man.
Yeah, man, I love that. I absolutely love that. So how can we find you? How can we connect with you? And again, how can we place orders with you?
Well, to find us and follow us on social media, you can do it on Facebook at Blanco Cigar Company. Facebook for me is David Blanco, of course. Now, I do have a public page. I would refer you to that because my private, personal profile only maxes out at 5,000 friends. And I've maxed out at that a long time ago. But I post the same thing to both the public page. So you just like that one and follow it. And I also post the same thing on my private profile. So it's the same thing as follow me on both. So David Blanco there. On Instagram, we have Blanco Cigar Company. You can follow us there. Or you can follow me personally at David Blanco 007. Because David Blanco was already taken. So I had to have a number. So I put 007. Can't miss that one. What else? I don't usually do the YouTube anymore. Although I do have a David Blanco YouTube channel, David A. Blanco, but they don't like tobacco so much anymore. So I stay away from that platform. So Instagram and Facebook are primarily the two that we go to. We also own the only Cuban humidor company in the world importing into the United States and abroad. It's called Duyos Humidors, Duyos. Humidors. So you can find that on Instagram and on Facebook. And of course, duyoshumidors.com on the website. And of course, blancocigars.com, which is where our story, our MSRP store, and all of our story is at on our website. And that's where you can purchase our cigars on the online there. So that's everything. Facebook, Instagram, and website primarily. YouTube, you can find some old stuff out there on me. It's interesting. I did a little YouTube search and I was looking at videos from 15, 18 years ago. It's crazy.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy.
Wow. And that's the dope part about having like a a video of your achievements and while you're working.
One of the most interesting was it was the year that Sean Williams premiered with this private label cigar that I made for him. When he got in the business, he asked me to make his private label, and he got in the business that way. It was called El Primer Mundo, and we did a little bit of a sit down, and we were doing an interview for one of the podcasters or guys at the time, and we talked about Blanco cigars. And then sitting with me, I said, and now I have Sean Williams. He'd like to introduce you to his new brand, El Primer Mundo, and Sean Williams talked about that at length, and it was pretty interesting. Now looking back, because of course Sean today is the brand ambassador for Cohiba cigars. So yeah, it's amazing the amount of people that where they go in this business, and I'm very happy for Sean. And it's those kind of you never know you're in the good old days when you're there in them,
right?
But they turn out to be the good old days. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And then you make some more. And that's the beauty of it. You keep living and you make more.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, David, I appreciate you. I love your cigar. The Blanco 9, guys, check it out. It's going to be one of your favorites in your humidor. Remember to like, subscribe, share the channel. And remember, storms don't last, but your home should. Peace.
God bless. Stay smoky, guys.